Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to wind down your weekend with all of, well, most of October's small press and indie comics. It has been a long time since we have been here, so if you haven't seen us in a while and you forgot, I'm Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to get you really excited about a bunch of comics, and we're gonna do that while we wind down our weekend, which means we need some wine. So this week I'm drinking Monte Antico, which is an Italian wine that is a red blend of like 3 different kinds of wines. I'm really excited to give it a shot because it kind of seems like they're very different wines that they've blended together, but it could be really good. So let's see what they are. Oh, that's different. That was not what I thought it was going to taste like at all. I'm not quite sure what flavors. Ooh, every drink is different. That's exciting. This is like the first one was like really heavy on like almost like the on the tannins and on like the sharp flavors, and then that was just kind of more on the fruity flavor. I have a feeling that as this airs out, and it's gonna turn it into a lot of rich, robust flavors in it. Okay, well, I'm gonna keep trying to figure out what all is in this, because it just kind of says like it's the finest grapes from the Tuscan hillsides, and it's got a lot of fruits, and that it's like aged 1 year in oak and then like another 6 months in the bottle. So it doesn't really say like what flavors there are. I know Matt was looking it up, and there's kind of like blackberries and plums, which you definitely can get because, again, it is one of those that has like a high like tannin taste to it. But I'm really curious, Matt, when you try it, like what you think, because it does have so many different flavors that kind of like explode in different ways for it. But we're going to be drinking this one all night long. So, if you're joining us tonight, let us know what you're up to. It's been a minute since we've been here. Of course, at the beginning of the month, Matt and I were gone for our first ever vacation since we've owned the store. Actually, since we've been together. And then we were coming back, and we had to outrun a hurricane. And so we actually haven't had the show because we had a hurricane, and then we had no power from said hurricane. We are fine. The shop is fine. We are very fortunate and blessed that we have such a wonderful community who was here for us before, during, and after the storm. And if you can, there are lots of ways that you can donate to help out, because the city of Bradenton, the city of Sarasota, Anna Maria Island, getting hit from back-to-back hurricanes, there's just so much work that needs to be done, and so many people who are still without. They did a preliminary scan of like just one county's damage the other day, and it was insane. There was 18,000 people that were like in major to like complete devastation on their homes, and so there's a lot of people who are really hurting. And if you're in the area, there's lots of places that you can go to volunteer and help out. And of course, we're going to continue to find ways that we can do that and provide that here at the shop. But thank you to everybody in our neighborhood who has already come together and done so much for the community. There has been a lot going on, has been a lot that was going to go on. There's been a lot of things that have gone on, but I want to focus on what is going to come on, because there is some really big stuff this week. Of course, this Thursday night is Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night, 8 o'clock. Come join us. It's free. It's fun. We just hang out and we talk about all the things we love. This Friday coming up, though, is one of the coolest days, and I did not grab the book, is one of the coolest days that we have coming to Bat City, and that is we are having our Stray Dogs Feral signing. It is the Feral World Tour, so Tony Fleece, Tone Rodriguez, and Tris Forrestner are all going to be here to sign your books. They will sign Stray Dogs, they will sign Feral, they will sign individual projects that they've worked on. So if you've got Local Man or Army of Darkness books books that you want Tony to sign, if you have My Little Pony stuff that you want Trish to sign, if you have Simpson stuff that you want Tone to sign, or Futurama stuff, like they are going to be here from 5 to 8 this Friday night, hanging out and signing books. They will do remarks, so if you want a quick sketch on your book, they will have their price sheet for that when they get here. But bring those books in. We will have trade paperbacks. We will have issues of whatever we have of each of their work in the store, like pulled into an area for you to choose from. We always have blanks of different books, so even if it's not a book they worked on, if you just want their style, you can definitely do that. You are welcome to bring your books from home, and then they will have an exclusive for the tour that they are selling. So you can, get that. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a great time. And again, that's 5 to 8 this Friday. It's going to be awesome. And then this Saturday, the 26th, is actually our annual Trick or Read Bat-tastic Halloween. So we will have free comics that we'll be giving out. We'll have candy, as will all of the rest of the Old Manatee Historic District. So if you are, looking for a place to take the kids, they're not going to have as many places to wear their Halloween costumes this year. Not as many things going on. Halloween's a Thursday, whatever it is. This whole entire neighborhood is going to be offering safe space trick-or-treating for everybody all day from 11 to 2 on Saturday. We will be open till 4, so we will have our event running until 4. So if you need to go stop at the other places in the neighborhood and circle to us, we will be here. The other thing is that we will also have creators and vendors. And if you are a creator or a vendor that's local to us, and you're like, hey, I want to get out there and I want to, put my art out there. I want to put my goods out there because the storm, I need to recoup some cost and things like that. Please hit us up, because we will find space for you this Saturday for the event. So, or on another day if something else works better for you. So we're really excited. There's a lot happening between Thursday and Saturday at Bat City. It's going to be such a fun time. Matt and I were just talking about how we totally miss the whole month of October. So we are going to put all of our October celebrations right here back to back for you. And we hope that you're going to join us, and it's going to be a ton of fun. Keep an eye on our social medias this week, because there's going to be some more information about the signing on Friday and the sale on Monday coming your way, or the sale on Saturday. Sorry, I just said Monday. The event and sale on Saturday. And so look for that on Monday. There'll be some more information coming your way for both of those. That said, we are going to have a lot of books to go through tonight, so I am going to jump into them as soon as I take one more drink of this wine. All right, so we are going to kick it off with House of Slaughter, issue 26 from Boom Studios. This is actually starting us back into the Sam Johns stuff of House of Slaughter, which we haven't seen since the beginning of, we had volume 2 of House of Slaughter was one of the... was the last time that we really saw the Sam John story. And if you don't remember that was about the Red Mask who was going out and investigating a summer camp that seemed to have a lot of monster problems, and kind of we learned as readers where monsters come from and how they're all kind of made through that story. Sam Johns, they're back on this one, and they are now telling us the story of an Azure mask, which is really cool because we haven't ever seen what the blue masks do. And so we're getting to see that for the first time in this one. And it is a continuation of where Sam's story left off. And so this one follows a blue mask who is working on researching some weird things that are happening, some weird just shifts in everything that's going on in the monsters, and some things that just don't seem to add up. And as they discover what is going on with all of that, they kind of realize that they have to keep a lot of it to themselves, because the House of Slaughter is a dangerous place and secrets don't do well there, and neither does having knowledge that they don't want you to have. And so he is kind of investigating this big thing and finding out that there is something going on with, I will show you, something going on with everybody's totems and the monsters within them, and we are going to see what exactly that is and how it connects to that other Sam Johns story as this unfolds. Sam Johns' part of House of Slaughter was so good. I'm so excited that they're back on it. We've got Grimm issue 20 from Boom Studios. I'm so excited to see that this just keeps going. Really, when it first started, I was worried that it was going to be like a 6 or 12 issue miniseries, and it has just continued to be great. And in this issue, if you know the story, you know that it is about Jessica, who is a Grim Reaper, and as a Reaper, I guess she's just a Reaper. As a Reaper, she has been working to bring people over to the side of the dead. Well, it turns out that we learned over the first issue that Jessica is actually the daughter of the Grim Reaper, and she is connected to this big uprising that is happening, this battle between life and death, essentially. And in this one, we get to see Death kind of telling us the story of how he met Jessica's mother and how they got together and how that relationship was developed, but also how, how he's kind of entangled them into this problem of fighting with life. And then we see Jess finally getting to kind of face up against life himself and kind of figure out like who her mom is and what's going on with that. And we're going to see how this comes into play in some really big ways, because right now the world is completely in disarray and the only person who can fix it seems to be Jess. But every time she gets a new twist and turn, it doesn't really help her out towards her goals. Transformers issue 13 from Image and their Skybound imprint. If you are reading Transformers, you are loving Transformers, and you don't need me to tell you that. If you are not reading Transformers and you are a fan of the classic 80s cartoon or any of the new stuff they've put out, you absolutely need to be reading this. And in this issue, we're kind of sidestepping for a minute, because if you're reading it, you know that Starscream has been kind of this ultimate like evil bad guy. For the whole thing. What we normally associate with Megatron has been Starscream in this series. And this takes us back to when Starscream is just a young, I don't know what they're called when they're not Autobots or Decepticons, so I'm just going to say Transformer. When he's a young Transformer, and him with his best friend, who is a new Transformer, and this is their first appearance. And we get to see what happened that actually led Starscream to join with Megatron and to become a Decepticon. And we also get to see him take on the entire moniker of Starscream, and just that vengeance and anger that fills him is kind of just a beautiful moment of Daniel Warren Johnson kind of showing like what war does to people through the Transformers. Ranger Academy issue 11 from Boom Studios. Man, I love this book. It never stops. It never stops making me love it. It gets better and better with every issue. And in the Ranger Academy series, if you haven't started it yet, there are 2 trade paperbacks, so you can jump in. But it is the story of a young girl who has never known that Power Rangers existed, and she lives on this random moon with her dad. She ends up stowing away and going to the Ranger Academy, where students are trained to become Power Rangers, and gets chosen for some very big things. But a darkness is sweeping over the Rangers, and she and her friends may be the only people who can stop it and save it, and they need an adult to help. And her father, who have not been on speaking terms about Power Rangers and who has never mentioned his connection with the Force, has now the only kind of like adult that can maybe give them guidance to where they need to go. And they're gonna have to do it all without morphing, because anybody who morphs in this issue is definitely easily controlled by the evil entity. It's so good. And again, I'm not even a Power Rangers fan. I can't name past like the first 5 Power Rangers. I cannot name 6 Power Rangers. I cannot name Power Rangers I can't even name the other incarnations of Power Rangers. Like, there's Power Rangers, and then there's like Dino Force. Is that a Power Ranger? I don't know. I'm really bad at it, but I love this book, and I think you will too. Public Domain issue 9 from Chip Zdarsky and Image Comics. If you ever wanted to see Chip Zdarsky kind of tell you what he thinks about the comic book industry, this is it. This is a story about a man who's very much a Jack Kirby, who created an awesome superhero team, who then lost all of his rights to his business partner, who is very much a Stan Lee, who goes on to turn it into a giant studio production and make all of this money. Well, we find out that this guy actually does own the rights to it, and so he has decided that he's going to bring his character back, and he brings his sons in to help him create a new comic company that's going to bring back the character Domain. and write a new story. And so they have been doing that, trying to get it ready. They now have an ash can, and they have gone to San Diego Comic Expo to try to pitch the thing. But in this issue, as they get there, the sons learn a lot about their dad. They learn a lot about themselves and their bad attitude. And they also learn that there are some shady people in the comic industry, but there's also fans who will stand by you no matter what, or who will at least stand by your free ash can that they can sell on the internet. So again, if you want to see what it's like to kind of be a part of the comic book industry, this is such a great take on it by Chip Zdarsky, and of course, always hilarious. We've got Geiger, issue 7 from Ghost Machine. If you haven't read Geiger, this is actually kind of one of those issues that's really good to jump in on, but I highly recommend this new Ghost Machine version of the Geiger story. But this is all about a man who, his name is Tariq Geiger, and he is at the end of living in an apocalyptic world, and he is radioactive, and he uses those powers for good, even though he says he doesn't want to. He's like the reluctant hero who's really just trying to get vengeance and figure out how to cure himself and get, avenge his family. But he is actually going around and saving people, and he has teamed up with a guy who is a knight as well, from one of those random very Walking Dead-esque little sects have popped up in this apocalyptic world, and they are going through right now. They're trying to get to a place where there's allegedly going to be a cure for what is wrong with Geiger, but everywhere they go, there's danger. And in this issue, you get to see a lot of a little bit of Geiger's backstory, a little bit of more information if you haven't read it before. And you get to see him just continue to always take on the underdog's cause, even if he doesn't want to. All right, it's back. It's wonderful. We're all very excited. I Heart Skull Crusher is returning. Issue 6 from Boombox. This is one of the fan favorite books at Bad City. It is such a popular title, and for great reason. But if you didn't read Volume 1, it is all about a girl who lives in a wasteland, and the kind of only thing that they really have to keep them going is this murdering version of hockey kind of situation going on. It's a super paintball, and her love with the main star of the show. And so in Volume 1, she ends up recruiting a team of people who should not be working together as a team to enter this competition to get to play super paintball with her idol. And in this volume, she is finding out that winning is not exactly what it's cracked up to be, because now her and her team are having to deal with some even bigger problems. And this is one part sports manga, one part Hunger Games, one part Mighty Ducks, one part dodgeball. It's just so great. If you haven't read it yet, grab those first 5 issues or the trade paperback, which I don't think is out yet. Is it out yet? It might be out yet. But if it is, either way, I have to look and check and make sure if I'm out of it, if it is out, because you need to read it. Everybody does. Space Ghost, issue 6 from Dynamite. If you are a fan of the Space Ghost classic cartoon, I mean, even if you're a Space Ghost Coast to Coast person, you know who Space Ghost is, and you might be interested in taking on this story. So basically, we're following along a Space Ghost who was investigating an attack on a space station, rescues some kids, and now him and these children are kind of a team that are going through the galaxy and taking out bad guys. Well, in the last issue, which was the end of arc 1, our young boy who's on our team actually has to make some really tough choices, and now we're kind of seeing him deal with the fallout and not wanting to necessarily be a part of the team anymore, because he doesn't want to have to make those tough choices. But he does learn that sometimes you have to make tough choices to save your family, and so he's really torn right now, trying to figure out who does he want to be and how does that work for him in Space Ghost. And there's some really great conversation in here. The most important thing that you need to take away from this issue is, adults, it's okay to apologize to children when you're wrong. We need to make that happen a little bit more, where adults apologize to children. It's okay to tell a kid you're wrong and that you learned something. All right, we've got Profane issue 5 from Boom Studios, and this is the wrap up of Profane. I'm very sad to say that because I really love this series. But this is all about a guy who is a detective in a fictional world. He is a character in a book, and his creator in the real world is murdered. And somehow he has to get over to our world in order to start investigating what actually happened. And now he's gotten really close to solving the case, but of course, like, the actual real world police have figured out, like he just always seems to be in, like, the way. So of course you always have that moment where, like, the private detective gets called off, like, by the police, but they have to, in this issue, kind of figure out how to work together, because he is the only one who can solve this case and the only one that truly understands it. And since is how he wraps up everything and whether or not he solves the case, I'm not going to tell you anymore, but I am going to tell you, if you like detective stories, this is definitely a must read, for sure. Crocodile Black issue 5, also from Boom Studios, and also coming to an end on this issue. This is the story of a young boy who, like, he's like a teenage boy, and it's during the pandemic, and he's working as a food delivery person, and he just kind of has this mental bug that is bothering him, or mental crocodile in his case, that is bothering him, and he ends up getting involved with the wrong people. And some of them are drug runners, and some of them are dead bodies that he finds, that he starts to have conversations with. And we kind of get to see the downside of his mind as he falls into the characteristics and the traits of being a superhero and getting, or not a superhero, a serial killer, and becoming part of that world. If you like those crime procedurals, but from the serial killer's point of view, this is definitely a wild, wicked ride that you need to go on, and this is the last issue, so you can now grab the whole thing. Scarlet issue 5 from Image, Skybound, and Your Inner John universe, which is your Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. This is the end of the Scarlet series. This is issue 5. And it's all leading us up to the big moment when the G.I. Joe series itself actually launches for the world. So if you don't know, it's all connected to the Transformers. And in this, Scarlet has been going undercover with the group that Storm Shadow is a part of, and she is trying to save her friend Jade from this. And so she has been forced to prove herself by going on this extremely hard mission with Storm Shadow and Jade. And now their mission went perfectly well at the beginning, only to have a lot of problems come in. We've got some Cobra, issues coming to rise, and we've got some other people who are moving in and making things difficult. And Scarlet has to help get her team out. And whether or not she can actually walk away from this, or if she's going to have to stay undercover, is kind of the big thing that she has to decide in this issue, because she's like, if I walk away, everything that I just helped them get is gonna be in their hands with nobody to watch it. And so this is really bringing us to some big stuff. We still haven't seen Snake Eyes, and so I feel like we're really building towards something big coming with that soon. Plastic, Death and Dolls, issue 5 from Image Comics. This is also the wrap-up of this. This is the prequel to Doug Wagner's Plastic comic that came out many, many years ago, and if you have not read that yet, 100% please do yourself the favor of getting that book and reading it. But this is also something that's going to allow us to see into the mind of the serial killer, much like the original Plastic did. This is kind of the making of that killer, though, and so we get to see his childhood and what was it that made him have this addiction to dolls and to playthings, and where he got that love for each of those things from, and how he kind of becomes the defender of those who he feels cannot defend themselves. And so over the course of this series, he's had a couple of friends who were attacked, and now he is on his own vengeance path to kind of save them and take out the bad guys. And it is going to lead to some big connecting points for people who have read Plastic, but also just make you want to read Plastic, the original series, if you haven't read it yet, when you get to the end, because it leaves you on some great cliffhangers, which again, for Plastic fans, you're like, oh my god, what a perfect ending. Godzilla, Skate or Die, issue 4 from IDW. This book is totally escalating as well in what it's doing with its story. This started out as just a story about a bunch of kids who really, they have like a annual thing where they have to skate this one park because it means a lot to them, and in their friendship. But on the day that they are skipping classes to go do that, there is a kaiju battle happening right in the area of town that they have to go, and they are determined to get there anyway. But over the course of the 4 issues, as they have made their way into it, they have all ended up twisting and turning through different parts of the city, and now they have stumbled on a secret military base that is filled with a bunch of things that they are definitely not supposed to know. And it's like, I want to show you some of these cool pictures. And so they are now like trapped in this place, trying to figure out what's going on, how to get out of it. And you know, we're getting to see their backstory as they do it, and it's just such a fun, awesome book. If you're fans of Godzilla, and if you like the Gromit comic that's also happening right now, this is such a great combination of the two. Speaking of Godzilla, we have Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons, Volume 2, Sons of Giants, Issue 4, also from IDW, as Godzilla always is at this point. This is such a cool book. I love it because we are looking at a secret society trying to recruit somebody. So they're telling us all the stories of the different kaiju and how they kind of became over the course of the centuries. And this is our Rodan book. So we get to see how Rodan became a part of, like, the Mayan god that he is and what he did for the Mayan culture. And then we get to see, which I love this is so cool. And we get to see how that story kind of plays into what the secret society is working towards. And we're getting a little bit more of that, getting that story itself moving forward, because we're starting to figure out why the society is after the particular doctor that they've brought in, and kind of the leading lines that go to all of, like, American history, and bringing us into this, like, what does Ben Franklin have to do with this? What does the president have to do with it? We're seeing all of that, and we're getting a lot of that information in this issue. And so, honestly and truthfully, a lot of people are like, oh, I missed Godzilla Here There Be Dragons Volume 1. Can I read this one? Yes, they do not connect really, really at all. They, like, are companion stories, if anything, but you definitely can jump right in on Here There Be Dragons Volume 2, and you should if you're a Godzilla fan or a kaiju fan in general, because there's so much to it. Grindel, issue 4 of 4 from Dark Horse. This is the end of the newest Grindel series, but it is not the end of the return of Grindel. It actually tells us at the end there will be more, and it does not give us any sort of ending at all. But if you haven't been reading this, Devil's Crucible Defiance is the subtitle of this series, and it is Grindel coming back into the world where the vampires are, you know, taken over. Humans are living underground, trying to just stay safe and away from them as much as possible, or at least the resisting humans are. And they are trying to come up with a way to, like, stop these, like, vampire evil overlords. And they run into our Grindel Prime, our Grindel from our stories past, who is back and is ready to fight for whatever he needs to, but not as in the way necessarily that they want him to. And so in this issue, we actually see them trying to petition him. But we also finally learn what their plan is and how they, like, are attempting to fight against these vampires. And we're going to see where Grindel will fall into that plan as this group of humans attempt to defy evil vampire overlords one day at a time. We've got Powerpuff Girls issue 4 from Dynamite. I say this every time there's a new Powerpuff Girls issue out, but if you just really want to be happy, you definitely should pick up the Powerpuff Girls. And if you if you love the cartoon, you absolutely should. And if you have kids who you want to get into comics, they also will love this. This is a great cross for all ages. But in this issue specifically, the girls go to a bake-off competition at a county fair, and they all decide that they're going to make the best cake ever. But Princess comes, and she's determined to do the best cake, and it becomes a big giant mess, quite literally. And all of the girls, all 4 of the girls, because 3 Powerpuff Girls and Princess, all end up making hilarious attempts at baking cakes, and eventually kind of get it together, only to Still struggle with who's actually going to get it. It's adorable. Read it. It's hilarious. You'll love it. Vigia, issue 3 from Band of Bards. This has been on a hiatus for a long time. We had 1 and 2 come out like a year or 2 ago at this point. So they brought back a double issue to kind of wrap it up. But this is about a girl whose job it is to do like research on different planets and find what's going on. And they send her to a planet that's kind of fallen off the grid so that she can find the technology and advancements that they had and bring it all back. And her AI Addie are wandering around, and they have found all of the information, and they've also found an AI robot like type voice that's been left there. But they also figured out that the entire planet is essentially overrun by zombies, very like creepy I Am Legend kind of zombies. And so the robot that's in charge of these people is like, hey, I'm going to take all of them and I'm going to free them on the universe, and we're going to let them take over in the way that they should because of their technological advancements. And they're like, yeah, but now they're like zombies. And the robot's like, who cares? And so Addie, the AI, and Ghazala, the girl, have to figure out a way that they can stop this evil robot who is really just ill-intentioned, and save like the information that they can from the planet before they figure out how they can get off of it. This is our wrap-up, so I'm not going to show you too much more, but if you haven't read the whole series, we do have issues 1 and 2 as well. And the paper quality on that book is so good. Sir, issue 3 from Boombox. This is another great one. If you are a fan of I Heart Skull Crusher, this is an absolutely good one to like jump to next. This is about a school, a rich private school where they have a secret society of like jousting, which we actually learn why in this, but they do it all on motorcycles. And we've been following a main character who's come here because they're the love of their life came here and has just fallen off the face of the planet. So this kid has used all of their parents, deceased parents, like funding to put themselves into the school to figure out why. And when they find out that their former partner and current love of their existence is having trouble with this secret society, they decide the only thing they can do is join in as well. And they are now determined to build a persona and take part in this jousting as it is, and put like kind of get vengeance through it. And it is gonna be, it's already such a cool story. We're 3 issues in. I can't wait to see more. If you're fans of like Yuri on Ice kind of manga, or if you've read Fence from Boom, this definitely feels kind of like I Heart Skull Crusher and Fence mixed together. So great for manga fans who want to cross over into comics. Garfield, issue 3 from Kaboom, which is the kids' imprint of Boom. This is the fastest selling comic at Bat City. We always run out of the Garfield book so quickly, and I love it. But if you didn't grab this one, you need to, because it's great. It is all about the street cats Garfield, where Garfield's dad lives with, feel really bad because they see that Garfield's dad has been really sad, and they think that what he needs is to do a new heist. And so they have him break into a lasagna factory, as they know that he likes lasagna, and they think stealing lasagna will make him feel better. But what we see as readers is that what he actually does is it makes him think of Garfield and how much he loves him. And it's super cute. And I teared up a little bit at the end. It was so adorable. And then the second issue in this is all about some of Garfield's friends who are dogs who are trying to stop rats who are taking over the factory that they work at. And if you have ever read or watched anything Garfield, you know that nobody is smarter than the rats ever in these books. And so it doesn't go well for them. But always fun, great for kids and adults alike. Johnny Quest, issue 3 from Dynamite. If you are a fan of Johnny Quest, you definitely should be reading this. It's such a cool thing where it takes Johnny Quest, the kid that you know and love, and all of his family that he is normally on a team with, and it brings them into the now. And so Johnny in issue 1 goes back to what he thinks is like a place that he's familiar with, only to find out that he is in the 2020s, and the old man who is running running this facility is actually himself in his 70s. And so now he and himself are working together to try to get him back to the past. But we found out that, you know, bad guys exist in all times. And so now Johnny and crew are kind of stuck dealing with some issues that are happening in the modern time, as they also are trying to get the stuff that they need to take their time machine back to where they came from, which was like an indirect time machine. It wasn't even supposed to take them through time. It's a lot of fun, a great adventure, and again, perfect for Johnny Quest fans of old. Rocketeer breaks free, issue 3 from IDW. Another new Rocketeer miniseries. These are always fun for Rocketeer fans. In this one, Betty is supposed to be filming a movie in San Francisco, so of course she immediately asks Cliff if he'll go with her, but not be the Rocketeer, because she never wants him to actually be the Rocketeer. But as soon as they get to San Francisco, bad things are happening, and there's lots of danger, so of course he has to get involved. And so we are now seeing Betty kind of helping people on the Golden Gate Bridge. Peavy is trying to keep this woman safe, and Cliff is told that he needs to investigate some stuff going on Alcatraz, and so he is currently trying to break into the prison to figure out what is going on there so that he can hopefully save everyone. Just classic capers of the Rocketeer that you need to check out. Barfly, issue 3 from Dark Horse Comics. This is from the world of Minor Threats, which is a universe that Patton Oswalt has been building out with Jordan Blum. And in this issue, what's great about the Barfly story is it is actually written by Kyle Starks, which I love. But Barfly is a former minion for a evil scientist who is now this fly, he's literally a fly, is trying to figure out how to live his own life, and he wants to be a musician, and he and his friends decided that they should start a band in the last issue. And so in this one, they are trying to find a lead singer for their band, and it's not going so well, but they realize that if you're punk rock, you don't really need to have to know how to sing, which is hilarious. And then at the same time, Barfly's old leader is now out of prison and is trying to force Barfly back into his control and make him do everything. And so Barfly is still having to fight against his once leader to get his own life safe for himself. It is hilarious. You do not have to know anything about the Minor Threats universe to read it. So if you just want a fun, ridiculous, off-the-wall, super-powered story, he's not a superhero, you should definitely check it out. I'm going to take another drink of this wine before I keep going. I used to also have a bottle of water, but wine it is. Oh, thank you. Thanks for sharing. All right. Okay, up next, we've got Lady Mechanica issue 2. This is The Devil in the Lake. This has been so cool already. If you've never read Lady Mechanica, it's kind of like we were just talking about with like Grindel and some of those, where they come back in these mini series that kind of connect but don't really. But in this story, The Devil in the Lake, Lady Mechanica has been sent out to investigate this disappearance of some scientists and people who were looking at monsters in a lake, and now she is finding herself in a world of trouble, and so she has fallen off a cliffside, and she did not die, but she is starting to see things from the afterlife, these monsters and these haunted like characters, and she kind of gets found by these people, and we're not quite sure if they're good guys or bad guys, and who, like, if she wants to team up with them, but she is trying to figure out if they know something about what is going on, and she's led to some people who are actually able to give her some information, but it's not necessarily information that she wanted to hear, because it does not lead them into some good answers. It's going to definitely make her job a little harder, but if you haven't read it, if you're a fan of something like Hellboy, Lady Mechanica is a great alternative to that, because it is very much like a supernatural creature investigating other supernatural things. The Autumn Kingdom, issue 2 from Oni Press. It just launched, we're on issue 2. This is the story of two girls who, their dad is a writer, and he's been writing this book. He's a well-known writer, and so he's working on his newest book, which of course is in like a first draft, and the kids are hilariously making fun of how bad it is in the first issue. So they've all gone out to go on his writing retreat, essentially, and they've moved into this forest house, and the kids are reading the story, and they're kind of getting into all the mythology and stuff that the dad is researching, only to find out that it might not be mythological. And in issue 1, they wake up to their parents being kidnapped by some evil beings of some sort, and they're like, oh my gosh, we need to get help, we need to stop them. And so the kids kind of go and battle against these creatures, and now in this issue they're trying to run and find help, but it turns out that maybe nobody in this village that they've come to is trustworthy, and so these girls are trying to find their way through the city and possibly into the darkness in order to save their parents. I Lie Popeye, issue 2 from Massive. Again, much like Garfield, if you are a fan of classic Popeye cartoons and comics, this is a great one for you. And in issue 1, issue 1, Popeye was attacked by a witch who wanted to figure out how to steal Popeye's power, that not only that he gets from the spinach, but this underlying secret power that he has within him that only the witches seem to know about. And it didn't work out for them, but now we are in a second attempt at it in a different way. And we're kind of getting to see Popeye, a little bit of like his dad's, like his backstory, and how like everybody kind of came to be. But in this one, we are going to see Jeep tell us a lot of the story of what is going on and where Popeye's like real power comes from. And it's just, it's just fun for classic cartoon fans and classic comic fans to check out. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Night Watcher, issue 2 from IDW. All right, you've had like 6 weeks since issue 1 came out. So in order for me to open up this book and tell you what's going on in it, you're going to find out who the Night Watcher is. So if you didn't catch it from the Free Comic Book Day issue or issue 1, you're going to learn right now. But we are back in the Mutant City, and we have a defender of the people who is the Night Watcher, who has been keeping everybody's safe and kind of taking out these bad guys. And, they have now been caught by the police for being a vigilante. And our Night Watcher has found herself in a cop car, and all these bad things are happening. And she's like, I'm going to have to go out, and I need to get out of this car. I need to go and help stuff. And the cop kind of just lets her go and do it. And here's your big like reveal if you didn't read issue 1. Lets her get out and do that, like without kind of purposefully letting her get out and do it. But we are going to see her really facing down against some very bad people, and she's doing it all on her own because we don't know where the Ninja Turtles are. If you're reading the new Ninja Turtles, they're all spread out, and so there's nobody really home taking care of things, and the one friend who remains is the only one who's kind of keeping the city safe, and we're seeing all of that in this book. And also, it's one of my favorite turtles, so you should read it. Summer Shadows, issue 2 from Dark Horse. Also great paper quality. This is the story of a guy who his boyfriend goes to Greece for the summer and is like, oh, I need to kind of figure myself out. I think that while I'm here, I think I just kind of want to call it quits. Like, let's just end this. And he's like, I feel like that was something weird in his message. Like, I don't really feel like he really wanted to break up. And if he did, like, I'd rather him say it to my face. And so the guy gets on a plane and goes to Greece, only to find out that his boyfriend is completely missing. And that's why he's not answering his calls. And everybody tells him that he's gotten on this boat, and the boat's kind of like this weird yacht that people who go on it never come off of it. And now we've got some investigations coming from both his boyfriend and the police in the area, and there's all this like foreshadowing of, you know, don't let the young people go on the ship, bad things happen. And of course, we kind of already know more than he does about what it is, but there is definitely something wicked sailing our way. And is he going to find his boyfriend? Is he going to save the day? Are they all going to die? I don't know, but it's incredibly well done. Deadly Trails, issue 2 from Black Box Comics. We are diving into a little bit more of this adventure that is going in this issue. And so in this series, we are seeing a man who is one of those like lonesome vigilantes in the Old West kind of thing, and he's somebody who is essentially dead and is trying to like have that like a vengeance for his family. And he's got a kid that's traveling with him, and as they go on this adventure, he is finding himself kind of taking on some bigger things than he intended originally. And like this kid is like, hey, I want to stay, I want to be your partner, I want to keep going on this adventure. And they wander into this town, and this girl's like, are you here to help us? And it's super creepy, and wonder like, you're like, do we want to help this girl? I don't know, because the whole thing's creepy. And then you get to go on this creepy adventure with them, which is really fun, and I don't want to show you too much of it. But if you just like the Old West and like the lonesome ranger kind of thing, this is a great story for that. Minor Arcana, issue 2 from Boom Studios and Jeff Lemire. Issue 1 of this opened up a new story for Jeff about a young, a girl who's not young, I say, she's like in her 30s probably, but she finds out that her mom has cancer, and so she has to return to her hometown, which she has purposely avoided for very long, especially because she does not even like her mother. And her mom is the town psychic, and she thinks anything is completely fake and totally crap. And her mom's like, look, the only thing I ask is that you like help my customers. Like, if I can't take care of myself, like you need to take care of my customers. And in the middle of the night in issue 1, a young girl, or an old woman comes and knocks on the door and is like, I need a reading right now. I need to know about, you know, the love of my life. And she starts doing this reading, and she gets sucked into this vision, and we kind of see most of this issue is her in the alternate plane, and like actually learning the information about this vision that she's kind of pulling up for this woman, and realizing that she has this connection to the psychic world that she doesn't want to have, and she doesn't want to be connected to at all. And her mom's like, hey, like, what's going on? And she just like storms out. And so it's a very interesting like story of a woman kind of trying to figure out like herself, trying to figure out her connection to her family, and also having this like psychic awakening through different forms of psychic conversation. So we're gonna see where that goes. It's Jeff Lemire. You'll probably cry at the end, but you'll be happy about it. We've got Life, issue 2 from Distillery. This is a really cool idea from Brian Azzarello and Stephanie Phillips. This is a flip book. So on one side, we talk about we are following these con artists, con men, I guess I should say, who live on a planet that was turned into a prison. And basically it was like all the worst offenders were sent there, and their life was extended on this planet, and they were forced to essentially work in servitude forever. Well, they were kind of forgotten on this planet, and now they're all still there with these like elongated lives and living their own stories, and they're like kind of ruling it over in their own way. Well, on the flip side, we have a bunch of people who have found out about this planet and think that the planet is abandoned, and so they are trying to break into this planet so that they can steal all of the stuff that they think is available. Only problem is they don't know that it's still overrun with these extremely dangerous con men. And in this issue, they come face to face for the first time, and stuff hits the fan very, very quickly. And we're going to see how these two stories like come even further together. Who's going to make it out? Who's not? Where is this merge going to happen, and what are we going to learn about what's actually going on this planet? Those are all things I think we're going to see come up in a big way in issue 3. Duck and Cover, issue 2 from Dark Horse and their Comixology original, which is essentially just me saying Scott Snyder is making another book, and it's fantastic. This is all about a the 1950s or so, I think it is, when they were, you know, teaching us that if we ducked and covered under our desk, we would be able to keep ourselves safe from nuclear fallout. Well, a bunch of high school kids who absolutely hate each other all end up in like a Breakfast Club detention kind of situation, and the alarm goes off, they hide under their desk, and essentially what they think is the big one like hits them, only to find out that it is actually more of a War of the Worlds kind of situation, and they're still very much convinced that it's probably something that like enemy people are doing. But as they continue to stretch out further and further in this issue, they realize that there might be way more to this story than they thought. And again, if you are a fan of War of the Worlds, and I think Santiago said it best, if you're a fan of Red Dawn and War of the Worlds, Duck and Cover is definitely a great book for you to pick up because it does combine those well. And each issue is a double issue, so you're getting 2 books for the price of one. Well, actually, yes, 2 books for the price of one. It's only $4.99, and there's 2 issues in it, so you should definitely grab it. All right, we got a lot of books starting this week with the return of Liquid Kill, issue 1 from Massive. And this is the new arc. I honestly think that they should have just kept it the next number in line, because you literally pick up right where we left off at the end of Liquid Kill arc 1, and you will have no earthly idea what is going on if you try to read this book and you weren't reading you didn't read the first volume. But basically in volume 1, we had a bunch of people infiltrate an island trying to rob it, and we found out that both like a lot of the people working on the island and some of the people like coming into the island are all part of like something like secret society spy type things, and these spies are coming for them. And we kind of left at the end of the volume 1, we kind of left right as these people really started their initial infiltration, and so this is just picks up right in the middle of the battle, and that's why I'm like, you have no idea what's going on if you didn't read volume 1. So get that and then keep going with this one if you want to just see some like spy drama happening. The Young Nomads, issue 1 from Battle Quest. This is exciting. I think that Nomad the Conqueror has been a great series for Battle Quest, and I'm glad to see them giving us some more characters in that world. And so we actually are seeing 2 stories in this. One is of a young girl who really wants to be a knight for her people. She's just determined to like fight all of the battles. She goes through all of the training, and of course they keep pushing her back and telling her you need to go be a healer, and she doesn't want that. She wants to be a warrior. And then it flips to the story of 2 boys who are from a peaceful society. They're not a warring society, and one of the boys is also like, I really want to be a warrior. And so him and his friend are out on a hunt to get food, and they discover some big plans that are going on and some evil ploys, and they're like, he's like, we could do this, we could be the warriors, and they're like, no, we absolutely cannot. And we get to see how that works out for them a little bit for each of their stories, but we also kind of see a little bit of how this new peaceful village and the original village from the world of the Nomad the Conqueror kind of will connect. You don't have to have read Nomad the Conqueror to read this. This could actually be your entry point into it, and I think it's almost even more accessible to read this first and then go into that world if you like the character base in it. Vicarious, issue 1 from Boom Studios. Man, there's a lot of Boom right now. So 3 weeks worth of Boom. This is a cool story though, and I think this is going to be one of those books that like we're talking about for a while. This is all about a guy who is down on his luck. He is at the point where like his landlord's like, if you don't pay me your rent in like the next like 2 days, I'm going to kick you out. He keeps trying to go get jobs. He can't find a job. And one day he is walking back and he sees them attacking this guy on the street. And the guy just happens to be somebody that you can essentially rent their body and their mind, and you can experience the things that they experience through this like microchip implant that they have. And that's actually like an illegal service, but the people who do it make a ton of money. And the guy's like, well, I need some money. So he decides he's going to go and get this like implant put in and kind of like work his way, like work off the payments for getting the implant in. And so we get to see his first attempt at trying to be somebody who is a proxy for other people and how that kind of goes for him. this is, I think, for people who are enjoying the book Self-Help right now, this is a really good one, I think, to cross over from there. And I think it's going to be an awesome story in the end. This first issue was definitely a great launching point. Tales from the Dead Side from Valiant, and this is a tie into the Resurgence, because we are actually getting like the relaunch of Shadow Man, which we're going to get to learn about in this issue, and Punk Mamba, which I'm really excited, or Punk Mambo, really excited she's coming back. So the first story in here, this is an anthology, and it's got a couple different stories for all like the dark people, like the darker characters in the Valiant universe. And so the first one is all about a man who's in prison who wants to get out of prison, and so he makes a deal with Alao, who is like this from the same shadow world that the Shadow Man is from, and we get to see like how that darkness and how they twist and how they just kind of control you and take things. And then we do get a story that features Punk Mambo, and she is trying to help a friend who is another Valiant hero whose name I cannot remember right now. She's trying to help her figure out how to find her husband, and they end up going through through the shadow world, trying to find, which is the dead side, trying to find their way into the far away, which is, we learn in this, the world that is taking over through all of the sinkholes and portals opening up in this Return of the Valiant universe. And so we get to see them kind of try to face their worst fears in order to get through that. Which is, it's wild and crazy what happens so fast. And then I believe we have one more story after that, yeah, which kind of just shows us about, sorry, turn that page, shows us a little bit about like the Shadow Man world a little bit more, and about some of the things that he faces and what he's up against and how he kind of deals with some of the stuff he's doing, and a little bit more of that cool voodoo stuff that they've got going on. So this is a really good one to just kind of give you insights to some of those characters, and also connect them into the new Valiant that they are building out. Right, Terminator, issue 1 from Dynamite, and I think this is our last one that's not a sketch cover. This is the hottest selling book at Bat City outside of Absolute Batman this week. So this is going to be an anthology series that's going to give us stories in the Terminator world that aren't necessarily like John and Sarah Connor stories. So the first one in here has a story of a man and a woman who are elderly and living on like in a secluded cottage kind of thing, and one of the robots shows up and is after them, and we kind of see the whole background of how they met. We see why this robot is chasing them. We kind of get a little insight into that. And so that's our main story for this one. It actually kind of fills the majority of this book. And then we do get a little mini story that's a setup for what is going to happen in the next issue for this. And it really literally just like scanning and them kind of like finding a target, and then it's like, to be continued. And so you don't really get much at all. But if you are a fan of the Terminator universe in any capacity, this is definitely going to be a series that you absolutely need to grab. I'm so excited. I love Terminator so much. All right, we've got Spillblood from issue 1 from Keenspot. I think it's actually one shot from Jonathan Hedrick and Stefano Cardacelli. So you know it's cool. And this is all about a priest who takes the confessions that people give him and then goes out and extracts vengeance on the situation. So he's like, I'm into, like, people are like, I'm into gambling. And he's like, but I'm on for dog fights. And he's like, where do these dog fights take place? And then he goes and, like, hunts them down and deals with it. And then it's like, I've been, like, tempted by this people in, like, a brothel. People in a brothel. And he's like, well, where is that? And it's like, is just constantly going after everything. This book is super cool. Stefano Cardacelli's art is just always awesome. I love the black, white, and red of it all. And, Jonathan just gives us like a fun, wicked story of this priest who who is a skeleton? So he's like a mysterious figure in and of himself, but he's kind of just like an angel of vengeance. And it's really cool to see. So again, this is a one shot. So I believe it's a one shot, because yeah, it is. And so yeah, if you just want one really cool book to pick up that kind of goes with the season, this is definitely a good one to grab. So grab it. Vampiro, Rockabilly Apocalypse, issue 1 from Massive. This book had me cracking up so many times. It was so funny and like also just building out a great story. So it's going to be a 5-part series, and this is all about a guy who's a music podcaster, and he's so excited because he gave all of his money, way too much, to get tickets into this event where a guy is going to be performing who is called Vampiro. And basically Vampiro is never on a bill. He like just kind of shows up. He's been around like the rumor is he's been around since like the 50s. Nobody knows anything about him, and he's like, I'm going to interview this guy. So he bribes a stagehand to let him into the back. And then Vampiro just like runs out, and he doesn't get to interview him. And so then the next day kind of thing, he sees Vampiro show up at his morgue. Turns out he is in fact actually a vampire, which is hilarious the whole way they explain that. And he is chasing down some demons and trying to stop them. And they're like, the guy's like, I will help you if you will do an episode for my podcast. And so this guy ends up on this adventure with Vampiro and his partner, who is just super cool in and of herself. And honestly, this was like the shocker book of the week. I thought it was going to be absurd, and it was actually really well done, and also funny still at the same time, but like not focused on the funny, like the jokes come natural. And so if you're into vampires and music, and you want to see a really awkward nerdy guy get suckered into that, that's definitely one for you. Frankie Boy Monster from Cosmic Lion Productions. This is just a really, really cute zine. Basically, what if Frankenstein's monster was like a teenage boy? And of course, his dad, the scientist that made him, is kind of a helicopter parent. And you just get a couple of little adventure stories from Frankie the Boy Monster in it. As he tries to kind of figure out like where he's going. I love this one because his friend like drops his guitar pick into the water, and he's like, Frankie, you should go down there because you can like last longer than me in the water. And Frankie gets attacked by all these different things, and then you figure out where the pick is, and it's hilarious. But yeah, it's just cute little stories. If you're a fan of zines, you definitely want to grab this one, especially if you're also a fan of Frankenstein. It's so cool, and it's got that like Frankenrocker kind of coloring on it, so it feels awesome, and I love it, and I think everybody should grab it. All right, Seance in the Asylum, issue 1 from Dark Horse. This is going to be a very wild book in the end. It does not go in any of the directions I thought this book was going to go in. But this is all about a woman who is a medium, and so she's known for all of her work, and she's kind of been disgraced and challenged a lot because so many people don't believe that that's real science and that it's something that there aren't really ghosts. And she is called in by a psychiatrist who runs an asylum, and is like, I think if you could tap into the other side and you could open up these people to see like what their problems are, maybe we can actually like get them the medical attention and the mental health help that they need. And so they attempt to do that, and things go really sideways really quickly for a couple of different reasons, both good and bad. And it is, again, it did not go anywhere I thought based on the title that it was going to go. But if you are looking for a little bit deeper, slower moving story, I think this is going to be the one. This did not have an instant build up of any of that like craziness or any of like the ghost stuff or anything like that. So I think this was going to be a slow burn, and I think that's going to make it even better in the end. The Creeping Below, issue 1 from Boom Studios. Man, they really did put out a lot of books this month. This is all about a girl who is, she is on an adventure of her own. She's a photographer, and she's only a food photographer normally, and she decides, like, while she's overseas, to go and check out some death metal bands, and she ends up connecting with some of them and kind of becoming, like, oh yeah, like, not friends, but like acquaintances, enough that she gets invited to some shows, and like then they invite her out to go to some different places, and you know, she thinks everything is just kind of lyrics and music and all, just like, you know, just what it is. It's just what you sing about. But they definitely take it a little more seriously, and she finds herself in a peculiar, dangerous situation very quickly. And I cannot wait to see where this goes for sure. Did you read that one, Matt? No? Okay. I was just curious because of the death metal. I want to know, like, if there's any, like, little hints of different things. Brody Can't Be Broken from Band of Bards. This is actually, like, a full-size graphic novella. So it's definitely an oversized book for sure. But it is $20.95, and we have found ourselves in the threat of these essentially ancient gods who are now back, who want to take over the human world again. They think they should be worshipped, and so they send their champion to kind of fight against all these, to fight and take over the earth. And the earth has its own champion, who is Brody, who is a teenage boy who has these superpowers, and so he is trying to fight them with the help of, like, his handler, who essentially does all his research and kind of like figures out everything he needs to know to fight. So she's kind of like the brains in the situation. She does not have superpowers though, and Brody has realized that he really loves her, and so he doesn't want to put her in danger, and which of course is actually putting her in more danger because he's making stupid decisions while he's fighting this guy. Really good story. There's so much to this one, and again, it's a novella, so you are getting a full story that's just massive. So much happens in this book. You absolutely, definitely should check this one out. It kind of has a little bit of a Gotcha Man feel to it, with the way that the kids kind of talk to each other and the way they talk about their powers. And so check it out. Band of Bards never disappoints with their great stories. And again, look at how thick that is. Like, that's monstrous. I just think that, you know, you can't go wrong when books are that thick. We've also got, speaking of Band of Bards, the Ignis Quadrant issue 1 and issue 2 came out this week, and I am obviously going to talk to you about issue 1, because if you don't know what issue 1 is, you don't care that issue 2 exists. And so this is about a guy who calls himself Montana something. I can't remember what he... whatever, Montana it is. And he's kind of that, like, rough, like, anti-hero kind of person who will help somebody in need, but is just kind of crass about it. Very, like, Han Solo, like, Star-Lord kind of guy. And he is, like, a cowboy in space, too, like, literally. And he's in his favorite bar, which he owes a lot of money to, and he tells them that the way he earns his keep is by keeping people safe in the bar. And this girl comes in, and she is chased by a bunch of people into the bar, and so he's like, see, here I go. I'm going to go protect the bar from this, only to find out that the guys that he beats up are lackeys of the big, like, evil empire of the drug lords, essentially, of space. And now he is being chased, and they want nothing more than to stop him, so they send a bounty hunter after him, who is known for not taking any prisoners and being completely and totally violent, and also specifically hating Montana. And so they end up on the run and trying to find the right kind of places to hide, and where can that be, and what is going to happen. We kind of see that, and you just get hilarious stories that and great adventure and space adventure. I'm not going to talk about that. And so check it out. You've got 2 issues already, and I definitely think, like, if you're a fan of those kinds of anti-heroes and those space operas, like, you're going to love it. I don't know how much of this I can show you, but I'm going to show you as much as I can, because Minky Woodcock is back with the girl who, what is it called? Cthulhu? Yeah. And these are one of the like classic Minky Woodcock novels turned into comic books. I always loved these, and I remember when I first learned about Minky Woodcock in comics, I was like, that sounds like something that I'm not gonna like. And then I started reading them, and I was like, I love these so much. I thought it was gonna be something completely different, but in this one, if you don't know, Minky Woodcock is a private investigator, and she has had several different adventures as a private investigator, but she is dealing with a lot in this one. She's just recently worked with Houdini, and she was supposed to be determining whether or not Houdini was cheating on his wife, which she did learn in a lot of ways. And now Minky is being called to investigate on some different things, and it is all in connection with Aleister Crowley and the witchcraft and stuff that he has gotten involved with. And so there is a person who has kind of fallen into that, and they need her to investigate and figure out what is real and what isn't. And she's had been approached by Aleister himself, and she kind of finds herself going into this like dark world, trying to do her investigation, and she meets some crazy people along the way, and most of them are like real people that you probably heard of. I think this is going to be a fantastic adventure for Minky to go on, and you can only read it if you're an adult because there's a lot of nudity in it. All right, okay, so I had a lot of books that I really liked this week, and I'm going to throw them all at you. So there's going to be like 17 picks of the week right now, but I think I'm just in a horror mood, and so everything that was like kind of sort of Halloween-y, I picked. So starting with The Exorcism at 1600 pen from IDW. I'm really excited. I want IDW to continue to do more original stuff, and this is a great oversized issue as well. But this is all about a woman who is named president of the United States, and her husband and her 2 kids move into the White House. And again, slow moving, because honestly, the majority of this whole book is just about like her taking over that role and the kids getting into their new school and kind of figuring out what their role in, like their place in this new school is going to be. And everybody's kind of just learning to fall into place. But the daughter, who's always kind of been a loner, seems to find herself at home in this random study inside of the White House, and we are starting to see some really creepy stuff as the second half of the book comes in, happening while she's in this study. And at the same time, like, the president is dealing with like this weird virus that's impacting people and different kinds of things like that. The older brother is trying to like fit in at school, so he's being like stupid and involved with like pranks and stuff that the popular kids are doing. And our main girl starts to have some nightmares and some visions of some really dark things coming and happening to the world. And as the second half of the book unfolds, like I said, we start to see some of the darkness that may, I love this. I'm going to show you, that may kind of be coming in lying in wait in the White House for them. And this book's going to get really good. I cannot wait. It's definitely going to be dark and creepy and wonderful and perfect for horror fans. And again, a little bit oversized and a lot of bit of slow moving dread building into it. Hyde Street issue 1 from Ghost Machine. This one was another one of those where I really like the premise, and I want to see what Jeff Johns does with it. They talk about how every city has this Hyde Street, kind of like every city has an Elm Street. This place called Hyde Street is around every corner, and you never know when you're going to be led there. And it opens up with this little Boy Scout who is telling this lady that he's going to help her cross the street, only for him to lead her into a place where she's like punished for all of the bad things that she's done. And we learn that is exactly the place that we are at. We're in a world where Hyde Street is a place where you kind of have to deal with all of the things that you caused, all of the darkness that you've brought into this world. And there's two main people that we kind of get to know. One of them is the little Boy Scout, but the other one is Mr. X-Ray, and he's literally the guy that invented the X-Ray glasses that they used to sell in comic books, and all of the other scams he did against kids is how he ended up in this world. and they each have to kind of hit a quota, and if you can hit this quota, you can get out of Hyde Street and maybe like win your life back. Who knows if that's actually going to be the way that happens, but we're gonna find out as we read it. And seriously, like Ghost Machine's like crushing it, you know, with Rook Exodus and Redcoat and now Hyde Street. This has just been a great one, so definitely check it out. Where Monsters Lie is back with Cul-de-sac issue 1 from Dark Horse. If you didn't read Where Monsters Lie, you need to, because it's fantastic. It is all about serial killers from like classic horror type things that all live in a subdivision together. And in volume 1, they actually had their subdivision break the rules, which is you don't kill in the subdivision that you live in. Somebody did that, and then the police came and they lost everything, and it was terrible. Now they have moved into one of the new subdivisions, a new location, and the old lady from the first one is kind of taking over, and she's got plans that she is manipulating everybody and anybody to get, and we are going to see a bunch more great serial killer, like monstery type things, but we're also going to continue to get to see corporate structure and ridiculous rules about HOA and things like that buried into this. I love that the creative team is back. I love that this book is back in general, and you need to read it. I told you, I'm just like all about the horror for the season. And then we've got the Halloween special of The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos. And this is in here because it is an anthology and there's lots of stories in here. And one of the stories in here is actually why it's in here. And I'm just going to skip straight to that one because you need to read it. Everybody needs to read it just for that story. And it is the first time that James Tynion is actually doing a story in the Christopher Chaos world. It's James Tynion's idea. Tate Bromble has been writing it. There's a couple of other people writing on this one, but in the Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, there is a character that we learn about very early in issue 1 who is killed, and he is a werewolf, and that's kind of been the whole premise of Christopher Chaos, is like kind of dealing with that. One of the girl that's in the monster group that they've created, she was in love with him. She was dating him, kind of. And we learn in this issue that they kind of just started. And she goes to Frankenstein's monster and is kind of talking to him like, hey, you've lived hundreds of years at this point. How do you deal with grief? What is it that makes us be able to move on? And how do you just make your life work when you don't want to keep going? And you get this beautiful James Tynion answer to what grief is and how we deal with it in ways that James Tynion is just so good at writing. And so the rest of it has a lot of fun stories and is a great intro to Christopher Chaos. Actually, the first one in there is like Christopher Chaos as a little kid, and it's adorable as anything. But that James Tynion finally working in his own world of this Christopher Chaos universe and writing about grief, it was like that great and wonderful thing that you needed. And lastly, I can't do it. I can't not do it. Our boy Matt Bors is back with The Toxic Avenger from Ahoy. And of course, we have to shout it out. We have to treat it like, the amazingness that it is, because we know this is going some incredibly great places, and you guys got to get in on this now if you didn't. This is kind of rehashing a little bit of what we know about Toxic Avenger if you have seen the movie, and a great introduction if you haven't, because we do get to see the community get polluted. We get to see this nerdy kid who's always kind of been bullied by other people come into his own with this toxic power. And I love the way that Matt did it, because he kind of does the back. Like, he starts out, like, at the further, like, where we already see Toxie as the Toxic Avenger a little bit, and then he goes back into, like, the 3 days, but he does them in reverse, and so it keeps getting, like, further and further away from everything that happened, and so you don't actually really, like, know who he is or anything about the kid himself until the end of the issue, which I think is a really cool way to get us excited about the story, and then kind of also give us the heart into it. If you are a Mark Russell fan and you have never read Matt Bohr's, you need to. They are so similar in their writing styles and so similar in the stories that they want to tell. And so this is perfect for people who are fans of that. It's perfect for people who are fans of Toxic Avenger and want some more in their life. And honestly, if you know nothing about Toxic Avenger at all, this is just going to be a fun read that's going to go on for a really long time and give you a great adventure. Probably a lot of wonderful political overtones and undertones, and just gonna be funny and hilarious the whole way through. So grab that. All right, a lot of other books came out over the last 3 weeks. I'm gonna fly through them really fast and just tell you what they are. The Crow got a new series from Sumerian. This issue actually kind of gives you like the back and forth of like an Old West story and then like the current Crow. Monster High has a Halloween special, which I'm very excited about because I love Monster High. The Archie Halloween special is out, which is always great. You always get a new story and a bunch of other ones in there. Barbarella returns with issue 1 from Dynamite of a new series. Shadow Man has started with his new series, a part of that Resurgence of the Valiant Universe. We also are launching with the new Eternal Warrior series is launching this week as well, or launched last week, or one of the 3 weeks. Godzilla Rivals is Mecha Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, and you know it's going to have some cool stories in there. Let's see. I just wanted to see if there was any giant pictures of King Ghidorah looking awesome. But if you're a Godzilla fan, those Godzilla Rivals are always great. The Last Harlemite, issue 3 from Red 5. This has one more issue to go. Last Ronin Re-Evolution, which is the second volume of Last Ronin. Issue 3 is out from IDW right now. Marvel's Zombies Dawn of Decay issue 2 is out. And I think Scarlet Witch is a big part of this because Marvel has figured out that Scarlet Witch is their best character and they're using her like crazy, and I love it. DC's I Know What You Did Last Crisis came out. This is their Halloween anthology for this year, and in it you've got stories from a bunch of people. I was trying to see if there was like Dan Dio has a story. That's crazy. All right, there's a lot of writers I haven't heard from in there before, so that's going to be really cool. Crypt of Shadows, issue 1. Let's see, this is a one-shot that comes out at Halloween time. Once again, Wanda, big part of it. Creature Commandos, this is part of your DC horror that is coming out. I got to see some teaser stuff for Creature Commandos at New York Comic Con. They had like a whole experience, which was really cool. Conquest 2099 issue 1. If you didn't know that the Marvel Conquest was back, it is. Blade is launched in a red band book, so if you want that polybag Blade book, this is issue 1 out now. Batman and Robin issue 14, and Batman Gotham by Gaslight: The Kryptonian Age issue 5 hit also in the last couple of weeks. Absolute Batman also hit in the last couple of weeks. I don't have that to show you, but I might. So keep an eye out for that secret coming your way. DC versus Vampires World War V issue 3. Fantastic Four issue 26. Green Lantern Civil War special was out either last week or the week before. Gunslinger Spawn issue 36. Scorched issue 34. Also got to see Todd McFarlane while I was at New York Comic Con. I got to introduce him for his speech. It was really cool. Amazing Spider-Man issue 59. Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood issue 3. Star Wars Ewoks got a book. What? I don't care what anybody says. Ewoks are adorable. Ahsoka is back with issue 4. We've got Action Comics issue 1070. We've got the Ultimates. This is issue 5. And we've got an all-new Hawkeye appearing in this. And so this is the Ultimates universe. We always get new versions of characters. I'm really excited that this time we got a new Hawkeye, and it is they are a non-binary indigenous person, and I love that representation that we're getting for that. And if you like Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, you don't get to be mad that Hawkeye is a non-binary indigenous person, because that Nick Fury is also from the Ultimates universe, and you love that, so you don't get to be mad about this one. Venom issue 38, as well as Venom War Deadpool issue 2, Venom War Wolverine issue 2, and Venom War Venomous issue 3, which always has the best covers. Wolverine issue 2 with Scotty Young. X-Force issue 4. The Sentinels got their own book in the last couple of weeks as well. And then we have a couple of trade paperbacks. There's been more than this over the last couple of weeks, but these are just some of the cool ones that I wanted to bring. Naked City, which is all about, like, is it possible to survive as an artist, street dancers, musicians, things like that in our time period right now. And they're, it's such a cool book. I can't wait to dive into it. D-Prog, the complete story is out, and if you shop at Bad City, you know that this is the only way you're going to get it because we are completely sold out of this series in single issue, but we are in love with it. We think this book it's so good. You have to read it. It's all about a woman who's a detective, and when a femme fatale comes in and tries to get her to save her brother from the very cult that the detective broke herself out of, she is gonna go down some dark places. Origin of Marvel Comics. This is a new volume from Stan Lee. Thundercats. This is volume 1 of the Thundercats. So this is the first 5 issues of that new Dynamite series that is going on. Clay-Footed Giants. It's from Mad Cave. Look at how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh. Look at that. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. Tragicomic meditation on parenthood, masculinity, and violence. I've heard so many great things about it already. I can't wait. And lastly, the first volume of The Last Mermaid is collected, and you absolutely want to read this. It is so good. I love it so much. It's all about a mermaid who's in a post-apocalyptic world. So it is a wasteland. She has a mech suit that has water in it. She's trying to find a way back to the great ocean that she's been told did exist at some point. Her best friend's an axolotl named Lottie, and her journey is amazing. And you've got to, cinematic too. Like, it's just gorgeous. You absolutely got to read it. That's all the books I'm going to tell you about. We did have some that came in late, so next week will also be a little bit more books. Don't forget that this Thursday night at 8 p.m. is Ladies and Non-Binary Nerd Night. Come hang out with us. The shop's closed. It's a safe place to shop and just hang out with friends. Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. we will have the Feral World Tour in the building. Come get your feral, your stray dogs, your local man, your My Little Pony, all kinds of wonderful things signed by Tony Fleece, Trish Forrestner, and Tone Rodriguez. It's going to be great. Yes, they will do remarks. Bring your stuff. It's going to be a blast. And then Saturday is I cannot believe I'm saying this, Saturday is our Halloween event. Cannot believe it's already Halloween. So that is 11 to 4. We will have some artists and vendors. We'll have free comics. We'll have a sale going on. All that information is going to come to you this week on our social media, so make sure you're checking it out. Plus, you can trick-or-treat all of Old Manatee from 11 to 2, so all the businesses in our neighborhood will have stuff going on for you to pop in and check out. It's going to be a fun, awesome week, and there's so many more books coming, so much more to tell you about, but you listened to me long enough tonight, so have a good night, catch up on all these books, and happy reading, everyone. Bye!